and come up with a strategy that will help us focus this whole tourism piece. And so if we're willing to do this, at the end of this process, we should be able to present a plan to the community that can take us from being really good to a whole nother level. Questions?
Mark, what do you see this eventually, the tourism director, is it going to be a paid position? Is it part of another department, or is this kind of like an advisory thing, or just tell me that much about it?
Yet to be determined. That's the purpose for this. There will have to be a leader for that.
Right.
But where that person, and someone needs to own that. Where that person is located and who they work for is yet to be determined, but there's going to be a lot of input from the various groups and organizations, including the city, to determine where that person best does it, whether it's an executive director to an independent organization or a sister organization such as the Chamber. I don't know. I could sit here and speculate, but I can't answer that question. That's
A lot of people disagree on that sentiment, and that's part of the reason we need this process, is to get buy-in from everyone. So,
Correct.
I mean, Mark and I probably disagree on where it should be housed, so.
And what I want doesn't matter, it's what the community
Yeah,
wants.
absolutely.
And I agree. I think this is a great idea. I just want to have a better feel for what we're looking at down the road, and I guess we won't know until we do it. So.
And I could come up with a plan, Mark could come up with a plan, Mike and Cheryl could come up with a plan, the Chamber of Commerce could come up with a plan, but unless we have buy-in from all of those entities, it's only going to last a year or two, and then it'll fall flat on its face. So we really hope that this process gives us something that will perpetuate these events and tourism for Lamar's for many, many years.
Is 5 months a ballpark or deadline?
It's a ballpark, but most likely will be the deadline.
Okay.
Our history has been with Danielle's a fixture in Lamar's now. Our history has been that they keep us on task, and that's up to us and me and Danielle to make sure we stay on task. So my expectation would be by June, end of June at the latest, that we present something to the community.
And I want left unsaid either. Thanks to Mike and Cheryl for holding up the hat.
Yeah.
The ball rolling.
And in case you have questions for them specifically, but I think Rob did a good job of explaining what we're trying to accomplish in the narrative. But Danielle from ISG is here, and Jessica from their partner organization is here. So if you'd like to say something.
Yeah, I'm glad to be back in Lamar's. It's good to be back as always. I've got Jessica with me as well from PASC. We decided to partner on this proposal. So ISG will be the project manager and help with the facilitation, since we know the community of Lamar's very well. And then PASC will provide the strategic overview for the actual nonprofit operations and tourism piece. So you'll see a breakdown of what ISG is responsible for and what PASC is responsible for within that proposal. But it's intended for ISG to be the prime on the contract with Lamar's, and then we'll handle all those project management pieces within that.
And I would assume your plan is a comprehensive proposal where it's not just a lofty, here's what we're going to do, but it also includes a way where we're going to pay for it. We're going to continue to pay for it year after year.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I can let Jessica speak to that a little bit more. But within this, there will be a nonprofit setup for the actual nonprofit organization, and the operations looking at 3 years for that. So Jessica, if you want to talk a little bit more about that.
Hi everyone, I'm Jessica Myers with PASC. So to answer your question, yes, through this process we're looking to really engage the community to see what is it that you all are needing and what is the next best fit. Setting up the nonprofit, if it is a nonprofit, we're setting up the nonprofit to make sure that it's sustainable with 3-year projections on what we estimate it's going to cost, and really setting up bylaws, the operating procedures, so it isn't just dependent on one entity, but it is set up for perpetuity and is sustainable, and it makes sense for the city of Lamar's.
Great. Thank you.
Just as a comment about tourism in general, I think, Mark, what you said before about how things have grown organically over the last couple of decades points out to me that the community has an opportunity here. I we've organically become a bit of a destination, and I think this study will lead us to a point where we will be more effectively able to maximize that part of our community. What it will lead to, assuming that we're able to agree on the structure and how this all works, I think will be more hotel motel tax revenue, more sales tax revenue, just a couple of things, and then as well with local restaurants and retailers, obviously as a result of increased sales tax, increased taxes, and even potentially more entrepreneurial opportunities. So I think this is a Lamar's isn't necessarily going to be home to conventions of 1,000 people, but we have a niche with the events that have been created and are growing that I think, again, depending on how this all plays out, really gives us an opportunity to, like I said, increase, some of the city revenues without, really potentially having to, just the benefit of all of those increased hotel motel, increased sales tax, so on and so forth. So I think it's I think it's very much needed, and I think it's very much worthwhile.
Yeah, absolutely. We kind of saw this as an extension of the community development plan. So at the community development plan, there were lots of good pieces that we were building off of to really build that foundation and maximize it. Kind of similar for tourism too. So we've got lots of good things going on. How do we get those working together and then maximize that?
Yeah,
So
it
absolutely.
really is. It is wild when you just kind of sit down and you think about all of the events that are going on in this town. I mean, however this ends up working out, man, that's going to be it's a pretty heavy load. There seems like there's always something, going on. And if it's not happening, there's significant planning going on for the next thing that's going to happen. So, like you said, organically, I think we've done a really good job of creating things that make Lamar as a destination.
Absolutely.
And this is not something that has just come up. This has been talked about for a while, and it's something that has been needed for a while. And so I think it's a good timing. As the city grows, we continue to grow with it. So,
Joe, where would the $32,813 come from?
Hotel motel tax.
Okay. We have that in our fund balance?
Yep.
Okay.
then I'd make a motion to approve an agreement for a tourism plan with ISG in the amount of $65,625 with the city paying 50%.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, discussion items. Jason, I haven't heard from you yet.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
You have anything to share for discussion items?
Okay, just three things. I think a huge thumbs up needs to go to Mike Weiss, who is retiring soon. Many years with the city. Remember, he took over as ambulance director when that change was made, and then a few years back was instrumental in the combining of the two departments. So there's been a couple gatherings to acknowledge his employment. So congratulations to Mike on his retirement. And he can go back to Red Oak to be their city administrator. And that's a joke, by the way, it's not true. So, secondly, I could have wrote E5, Rob, but Mark did.
I knew you didn't.
And then lastly, my condolences to Councilman Wick for the game last night.
I was like, wow, what tragedy did I miss?
I tell you, I'm glad I'm not running this meeting today. That's all I know.
I was a little worried about Dustin's proposal when he started off that way. I thought maybe he had just bought a no vote.
That's all I have.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you, Jason, and thanks for the reminder on Mike Weiss. Yeah, I visited with him yesterday and congratulated him, and you know, he advised that we are really set up for the future in our town with EMS and fire, and really feels good about that. And I reminded him that he was instrumental in all of that. So anyway, we want to thank Mike. So, Joe.
I just have one thing. We're gonna need to have a special meeting week of January 13th. Nothing to decide today, but just wanted to put that kind of on your calendars to decide next council meeting to set that date and time. It'll be a quick 5-minute meeting for the water bonds.
I need to schedule my first, I guess you would say, town hall meeting in January too, that I promised we would do after hours, so, yeah. Good reminder. Mark?
So the town hall meeting, would we all be able to appear? It would be an actual regular meeting, so we don't
I
have.
think if we have proper notice, we can.
Okay, that's good.
Yep.
And on the other one, the 5-minute one, could we call in if it's not? Okay.
Yep, it can be totally all in one, they said.
So I do want to apologize to Mike Weiss that I didn't bring that up as a thumbs up, so I joined in that as well. And in that same thought, thumbs up belatedly to my buddy Kevin Ecoff, who celebrated his birthday and his looming retirement, and he's been pretty involved in LBIC and some other things. So
Yeah,
real good
absolutely.
community champion. So, that's all.
Steve?
Odd and even parking been going okay, Chief?
Yeah, we're probably down to maybe 15 to 20 warnings a night, which is actually pretty good for our community. I've been talking to Scott tonight, and we just don't see that significant snow.
Yeah.
No gas yet, so we're gonna continue with warnings until we got follow up.
Good,
Everything okay?
good.
Great. Nothing else? I don't have anything else other than what was mentioned. Brian?
Nothing to add.
Hey, Rob.
Yeah, Clark.
Yeah, I got to, I misspoke earlier, and I want to make it very clear, I do not support raising local option sales tax. What I was thinking hotel motel, and I said local option, and I apologize for that. I am in favor of raising hotel motel tax, but not local options.
Okay.
Just, I want the record to show that.
I assumed, but I didn't want to put words in your mouth, and the radio station's now here, so they heard the right come out of your mouth, the right things.
Okay. All right, that's, I just want to make that clear, because I actually did. I'm driving down I-80, and anybody that drives down here knows it's a madhouse. Anyway, so, just so that's said.
Do you have anything else to share for discussion items?
Now, other than Merry Christmas to the whole town, have a good holiday, safe holiday system, or season, and we'll see you next year.
All right. Brad?
I have nothing other than, again, to wish everybody Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.